Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Review post-match immediate reaction video after Rangers' battling performance over in Greece, earning a 1-1 draw with Olympiacos on match day 4 of the Europa League. After falling behind to an Ayoub El Kabi strike, Rangers replied through Cyril Dessers. In true Dessers fashion, he missed a number of opportunities prior to this one, but showed great skill and composure to fire into the back of the net. And you've got to say, Rangers, good value for that point. Certainly a number of star performance in that Rangers team. I thought they performed well, Chris, over the piece after a goalless first half. Pretty much dealt with anything that Olympiacos had to throw at them, barring that defensive mix-up that allowed the Moroccan to fire the home side in front. But Rangers showing character, resilience at times, and a real willingness to run the hard yards, and they earn themselves a point. They can head back to Glasgow. Pretty pleased with themselves. What do you make of it?
It was good, and it could have been even better. And I think the fact that it could have been even better will be the main frustration for the manager. You look at a number of really impressive individual performances. Certainly the two in the middle of the pitch, Raskin and Connor Barron. I think they covered almost, I know it's the old cliche to say they covered every blade of grass, but I don't think there was a square yard of that pitch that the two of them went on tonight. Really, really impressive. You mentioned Cyril Dessers there. I wrote in my instant analysis piece that's on the site just now, Dessers does what Dessers does, and that's in good terms and bad terms. You look at those chances in the first half. I think the offside flag, even if he'd scored the first one, the offside flag would probably have denied him, but it was definitely a chance he should have done better with. Second one, really good work from Cherney. Dessers, if you're being critical, says he should be scoring that chance as well. But then the one that he does put away, Cherney again involved, good pass. It's a lovely touch from Dessers, sells the defender a dummy. Defender sliding all over the place, and it's absolutely nowhere. Dessers, nice touch, bit of composure, a really good finish. And at that stage, I think Rangers were well worthy of being level in the game. Could have perhaps had more opportunities late on. Could have perhaps won it, but I think, like you said, they have to be really encouraged by a good performance, and it's certainly a good result.
Yep, let's bring in Joshua, who's at the Karaiskakis Stadium. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure.
You said it.
Yeah, you watched it unfold before your very eyes, Joshua. I was pleased. I enjoyed that tonight, and a few comments coming in saying that Rangers could well have taken all 3 points. How was it sitting in the stadium to you? How do you rate the performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought Rangers were probably the better team. And I was just listening to Chris there before I came on, and the expected goals ended up Rangers 1.13 to Olympiacos 0.68. So if you're looking at that from a performance point of view, I think the only thing that is missing from Rangers is Cyril Dessers doing what he did for his goal one more time. It was still a performance that I think it's a team that still lacks a bit of pace up top, and there was a number of moments in the first half where there were transition opportunities that they weren't able to fully exploit. But yes, more of what we've come to expect, I think, from Rangers, Derek, in that you don't see that level of kind of incision away from home against Aberdeen or Kilmarnock, and maybe there's some circumstances around that, the pitch they're playing on, the type of game it is domestically back home. Tonight, I thought they were the better team. I thought Raskin was brilliant. Barron really good as well, but Raskin was probably my man of the match. He gave the ball away too cheaply, and I think sometimes that's a bit of a... Yeah, I think that could be a bit of a byproduct of Clement's football being quite direct at points, but I think that's the best he's looked in a Rangers shirt in a while. John Souttar very good as well. Both Sterling and Castle Muirjo did well at right back. So yeah, I mean, Dessers' moment where he actually, I think, scores almost the most difficult opportunity of the night. Maybe not the final shot, but to set up the final shot with that dummy. And when Olympiacos went ahead with a chance that was more difficult than the one Dessers passed up from that cutback, and at the same end from a similar spot, you thought there's a difference between the two teams. Olympiacos have maybe been a little bit more frustrated than Rangers, but they've taken their moment. But he provided his eventually for Rangers. Probably should have been more if you're being critical, that's a good performance and a performance for Clermont to build on.
It absolutely was. Lots of points to discuss. First of all, Scott says, we said one each, Derek. That's how it turned out. Yeah, absolutely bang on. Predictions earlier, Joshua. We both plumped for a 1-1 draw.
I think he's very complimentary or generous there, but I think I said 1-0 Olympiacos. So I'm going to give you.
Yeah, you did actually.
Yeah. But you're generous. You're generous to me.
Yeah, no praise for you. I take that back, but certainly praise for me. So, hopefully you put money on that, folks. But, bang on the prediction. What do you make of Olympiacos, Chris? Because certainly first half, when they're speaking to the podcaster earlier in the week, they said Mendelebar sets them up in the sort of European-style fashion, the 4-2-3-1 formation. It sounded very much like Rangers. They have had a few issues domestically up against teams playing the low block. I wasn't overly impressed by them, I've got to say. Now, they've got good players, there's no question, but is that maybe taking a little bit of the shine off of Rangers for playing so well tonight?
I think both things can probably be accurate, and I think both things would be fair. I think it's safe to say that Olympiacos were perhaps not as good as people expected, but I think you can also rightly state that Rangers played well, certainly defensively played well. A few moments, I guess Josh touched on there, perhaps slightly slack in possession at times, maybe allowing themselves to get sucked into some of those transition moments. But over the piece, I thought Rangers did handle the threat well. What you can say about them is they have a very good striker. The goal that El Kaabi scores, it's a real moment of quality. John Suter makes a real mistake, I think, gets sucked in a bit too tight. But the way that El Kaabi takes it and finishes it, you have to give him all the credit for it. He's clearly a guy who knows how to score goals at this level. And I'm sure there would have been a number of people saying at that time that's the difference between the sides. Now, Rangers had their chances and they've got Cyril Dessers up front. Olympiacos don't have that many chances, but when one then comes along, they've got El Kaabi who can produce a moment like that. Thankfully, within 10 minutes or so, Dessers comes up and shows that he can score goals at this level as well. But I thought it was two evenly matched sides. I think a draw is probably fair, but in saying that, if Rangers had come away with all 3 points tonight, I don't think you could have had too many quibbles from a Greek perspective. So I didn't think Olympiacos caused Rangers as many problems as we perhaps expected.
No, a lot of credit has to go to the back line for that. Dana Life says, what you think of Proper tonight, lads? Thought you had a good game. Yeah, I totally agree with him there. Joshua may have raised a few eyebrows seeing him starting at the match this evening, but thought he looked comfortable. I think, as we touched on in the pre-match video, European football sort of suits him a bit better than domestic action, does it not?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's important to point out that this is the type of game that, especially away from home, Rangers just don't face. It's a totally different game, isn't it? Because they don't have space to play into. They actually looked, I thought, pretty comfortable defending their own goal. I thought both fullbacks defended well. Chefty again in another good game. You could maybe say, I don't know who you'd criticise for the first goal, because it's a good run off the back of the defence from the Olympiacos number 22. And both centre-backs kind of get sucked in towards the ball, don't they? And then from there, it's still a fantastic finish. But it's a good chance to give up. But yeah, over the course, that side, Rangers didn't really concede many opportunities at all. And that's probably what will please Clermont, because at the start of the season, one of the justified criticisms of Rangers was they're too easy to play through. How much better do they look when they've got, I think, that's a different game tonight. I think if you don't have Diomande in there next to Raskin and Barron. I thought Diomande maybe wasn't as impressive as Raskin and Barron, but he was tidy enough on the ball. Largely, I thought he had a good enough game. That's a different game, I think, if you've got Tom Lawrence, who's more of a number 10 and doesn't quite have the same engine. So I think it's another lesson in the fact that Clermont's football, because he wants to players to play in big spaces and they're not necessarily crowding around the ball. You want as many engines in there as possible, and as a result of that, Rangers didn't really concede many opportunities at all. But how many moments did Nico Raskin or Conor Barron snuff out a chance or snuff out a half chance? And if you look at where actually Rangers' goal derives from, Derek, it's Conor Barron chasing lost causes, as it was to get their fourth goal. Igaman's goal against Steaua Bucharest is one that comes to mind a couple of weeks ago. I just think Clermont's football looks better when it's got the right profiles to win the duels, cover the big areas, whether that be at right back tonight or whether it be in the centre of midfield with Raskin and Connor Barron.
Yeah, I'm conscious you need to head over to the mix zone soon, Joshua, to speak to some players. But I want to get your view on this. Dujon Sterling taking off around about just after the 51-minute mark. He was speaking to Philip Clement for a fair bit prior to being removed. Horatio Cashinwierzo came on for him, not James Tavernier at the time. The skipper came on late on in the game. What did you make of Sterling, first of all? And I thought it was a bit strange him getting taken off at 51 minutes, maybe with one eye on Sunday, perhaps, and a fitness thing, perhaps, maybe.
Yeah, we'll learn about that in the press conference, I imagine, shortly. Yeah. But he looked fine, is what you would say. Yeah. And he didn't go down the tunnel. He was walking back on the pitch at full time. So we'll try and ascertain exactly what has happened there. But I thought Cashinwierzo and Sterling were both good against a difficult opponent. There was points in the game, especially right at the start, where I thought either Olympiacos winger was finding it quite easy to move inside the pitch and turn into some space. But generally, I don't think either fullback, any of the three fullbacks who played, I don't think they did much wrong at all. It'll be frustrating if there is some sort of issue with Sterling. But as I say, it looked like he was fine when he came off the pitch. He was speaking to Clement. He was there on the bench until the end. So you hope it's just a case of him still building minutes up, as Clement spoke about in the press conference yesterday. But we'll go and find that out, and people can watch all the reaction tonight across the website and the YouTube channel. But I'm off to get it myself. Yeah, good stuff. Right, safe travels, safe journey back home, Joshua. He's starting a monstrous journey back from Athens now. He's pretty much touring halfway around Europe to get home. But we wish him well on his journey. But big result that tonight, Chris. I think it's fair to say. However, we have said before, the bigger game of the week is Sunday. It's no point, and we've seen it so often before, Rangers putting in performances like this in this competition that has served them well down the years, and then stumbling in the Premiership. Hearts will be coming to Ibrox. They are playing at the moment against Heidenheim. I think that's how you pronounce it, German side in the Conference League. Rangers need to build on tonight. Can you see them doing so?
I think we probably had the same conversation after Malmo. I think we probably had the same conversation after Bucharest. And you look at those games, and the point after it was, this is the bar has been raised, the standard has been set, this is the level that we have to be at. And then Rangers then revert to type almost, and the level drops domestically. It's not been good enough. If you look at Europa League, Rangers, I think, have done what everyone would have hoped they would do. They got off to a good start, and Malmo got that win on the board early on. Lyon was always going to be difficult, always likely to be a challenge too far, and as it proved on that night, Lyon were way ahead of Rangers. They then had to respond. They had to have the win over Bucharest, and if you can then follow that up with at least a point in Greece, that then represents a decent return from the 4 games. So I think they've done what people would always have predicted that they would do, but it comes down to, can you then replicate that domestically? Can you take the positives? Can you take the feel-good factor? Can you take a bit of confidence into the domestic matches? Again, we spoke a couple of days ago on the show about why Hearts was the bigger game. If Rangers drop anything on Sunday, a title challenge that is very, very, very faint at present is all but killed off, and can forget about it. So there's no doubt, if you said to Clement at the start of this week, you can only win one of these matches, what one do you want to win? It would definitely have been the Hearts game. So really interested to see how they go back into the domestic action now. What can they take out of this? There's no point in saying, yes, there's lots of positives, if you then go, and as I said earlier on, you can almost revert to type domestically. The manager spoke about Sunday against Motherwell being a reference game. This has to be another reference game, but you can only use that analogy and only make that statement so many times before it becomes a bit hollow and before people stop actually believing you. So time will tell.
Yeah, Just incidentally, some of the results that have came in already in the Europa League. Tottenham, who Rangers will come up against, lost to Galatasaray away from home. They were reduced to 10 in that game. But Johnny seems to think that Rangers are in for a hiding against Spurs at Ibrox. I'm not too sure about that, but they stumbled Angie's side in Turkey. Nice, who Rangers will come up against next at the end of this month. You'll be heading down to the French Riviera, Chris. They drew 2 apiece with FC 20. Shot caller Sam Lammers netted for 20 in that game. Both sides reduced to 10. And at this moment in time, there are matches kicking off just now, of course, the 8 p.m. ones. Rangers currently sit 10th in that expanded group stage on 7 points from their opening 4 matches, which you've got to say is a decent return, Chris, after at the halfway point, 7 points. Listen, I don't know if they'll get enough points to get one of those automatic qualification spots. More than likely they'll have that playoff. But if you'd said that Rangers would take 7 points after 4 matches in this, remember when the group stage draw took place and everyone's thinking that some of the teams in that, it's going to be difficult for Rangers, but pretty decent return so far.
There are difficult matches to come. The Spurs one obviously stands out. The Man United one stands out. I think the fear for Rangers, certainly from a working perspective, is that we go into that in the last match and there's that many different permutations on the go. It's going to be a difficult. You were looking at results from all over the country, trying to figure out where Rangers are in the table. Hopefully, it's in a positive position heading into that last match. And as you've outlined there, they've definitely given themselves a good chance. I think the matches and the opposition that they have done well against is perhaps no surprise. They've taken points from the 3 weaker teams out of the 4. As I said earlier on, I think Lyon always looked too good, and they came to Ibrox and were many levels above Rangers that night, unfortunately. But otherwise, it has been good. It has been encouraging. They've definitely given themselves a chance. How much people are reading into it and how much people are getting excited by it, I think it's hard to tell. I think the domestic stumble and the domestic situation is maybe taking a bit of the excitement out of some of the fans. But you have to, if you can't take encouragement from a result like that and a performance like that, then your glass is more than half empty. I think you have to take what you can out of these European games. And as outlined there, it's what can you then take into these domestic matches, because that's going to be the ones that's ultimately going to shape the second half of the season and perhaps even shape Philippe Clement's Rangers' future.
Yeah, domestically, there's no doubt about it. Rangers have been way off it in recent years for too long now, but I really do enjoy watching Rangers in this competition. There's just something fresh about teams coming out and having a go. It suits Rangers. The team's been built for this competition, and thoroughly enjoyed tonight's game, even though, as some of the comments are coming in, Rangers perhaps unfortunate not to take all 3 points tonight in Greece. It really was a good battling performance from Rangers, and everyone can be pretty happy with their performance tonight. Now, we will, as Joshua mentioned, he is heading down to the mix zone, so there will be player reaction to come over on the YouTube channel. We'll also hear from Philippe Clement as well. That should be dropping anytime soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be on with Stevie tomorrow morning, and those of you that are extra members on the YouTube channel, me and Stevie will be recording our weekly Q&A tomorrow afternoon. So get your questions in. I'll pop the link out in the community page tomorrow morning. Fire your questions in, and myself and Stevie will get through as many as we possibly can. But well done, Rangers, tonight. Big thanks to Chris for joining us as ever, and we'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Good night.